Here we are.
Here we are.
Okay.
I'm so glad you made it.
Yes.
Oh my God, and I know.
I'm so
what is
happy
it? Is
to be here.
Oh, shut up. Anyways, this is John Beck, really close friend of mine, as you can see, and you'll be able to tell by the bantering back and forth. But John is a professional speaker, and he's just a fabulous guy, and I thought he would be fantastic to have one of these interviews with. So this is why John's here. So I do thank you, because I know you are very busy, and you've been doing a lot of running around. This week's tough for you, so I'm incredibly thankful that you are here.
My pleasure. Vicky.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go. We don't really, I mean, I don't know, whatever. 15, 20 questions. Okay.
Okay.
So, what does success look like to you?
Definition of success has changed a lot for me over the years. I think initially the way I was conditioned, it was around having the money and the materialistic things and sort of enjoying what many say is a good life.
Yeah.
For me today, primarily concern would be to feel happy, to be happy within,
Yeah.
and to have friends and to have a full life of doing things and that are good for our mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
And if you can make the money along with it, then all that much better.
Perfect.
But not priority.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. What would you say if there was anything holding you back from success? What would that be right now that you're struggling with for you? If there was anything holding you back?
For me, let me first say that I've always believed, or we know that everyone has gifts.
Yeah.
And all of us have many talents. And having said that, I think I've discovered many of my talents. And sometimes I have difficulty on trying to zero in on one thing that I want to do, to concentrate, to be good at,
Yeah.
without all of a sudden getting bored. So I think it's defining my higher purpose
Okay.
and what it is that I exactly want to give back that leaves enough room to be creative.
Okay.
So that's probably, for me.
Yeah.
That's what,
Actually, it's interesting when you talk to quite a few people that are professionals and are multi-talented, like I know you are. That is exactly what they say. They say that if they could just have the focus. I know it's a big problem with me because I can do so many things and I seem to do them well.
and we get a lot of enjoyment out of it, right?
So we
it's,
absolutely
yeah,
love it, right? Because
yeah.
we have constant creativity and, oh wow, look at that. Oh wow, look at that. And it just goes on and on.
And that's the passion we kind of want to have or to look for, to feel good every day as we do things.
Exactly,
So,
but I do understand how it is at the same time. If we're shooting off in so many directions, then we're not really giving it 100% in the one direction that could perhaps make us successful. And I know for yourself, you have been really, really concentrating on your professional speaking. You won all sorts of awards with the Toastmasters,
Right.
International and everything, and you have really kind of been honing in these last 3 years, and I know you're heading off to UK soon, so
Right.
I mean, you have kind of been in the last 3 years doing this.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I concentrated full time on my speaking
Yeah.
abilities, and
Yeah.
took on a lot of non-paid speaking jobs and
Yeah.
paid my dues and love crafting speeches and choosing experiences and stories in my life where there's a message behind it,
Yeah.
and ones that I can share with everyone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, I'm really glad you're going for that because you're very good at it. I've seen some of your speeches and they're awesome. I
Thanks,
love them,
Becky.
especially the Scottish ones.
Yeah, that's right.
What would be a worst case scenario for you in actually not reaching your success? What would happen if you don't actually reach it?
I grew up in 150 acres of natural paradise where I believe that I learned from a very young age of just being alone with nature itself. And what I mean by that, I guess, is that I'm happy being alone. I don't think I really need a lot of things.
Right.
If you were to just dump me in the middle of a forest, I'd probably figure out a way how to chop the trees down and build a cabin.
Right.
So the worst scenario is really not a bad scenario. It's as long as we have ourselves and we see enough in ourselves to love ourselves enough, with all those mistakes that we've made and those character defects and so on, that's good enough. It's good enough.
So But what if you weren't able to reach the success that you want? Because I know you've been really planning on your public speaking and your professional speaking. And I know how much it means to you because of the gift that you can give through doing that. What if you were not to reach that? What's the worst case scenario out of that if you don't reach that for you?
The worst case scenario would be that I tried,
Okay.
for starters.
Sure. Yeah.
And did my best. I believe I have a pretty good track record for things that I've taken on that I've been successful at because I don't quit.
Yeah.
The worst scenario would be that I got around and shared a lot of my own stories and messages and made a lot of friends. And, and if that's all it's going to be, well, then that's okay with me. And, these are things, obviously, that I have thought out.
Oh, yeah.
And if I can travel and visit other places in the world and pass that along and come home with nothing, well, did I come home with nothing? Not really.
No. Good.
So,
Good answer.
yeah.
Awesome. What is a fear that would paralyze you from taking action? You're sitting there and you're wanting to do something, you can feel yourself struggling. What is it that's holding you back instead of you moving forward? What's that fear?
I have to do things for the right reason. There has to be something within the core of me to really believe that I'm moving forward for the right reasons. A real short story here, it's often, my friends when I was younger used to say, well, John, you can sell ice to Eskimos. And I used to say, well, no, I can't. They don't need ice. And they'd look at me, well, duh, that's what we mean. I said, well, no, you don't quite get what I mean.
Yeah.
They don't need ice. I know
can't
that,
sell
so
it.
I can't sell it.
Right.
So I think anything that I have a fear for is something that if I feel as though I can't, I have no right being there, or it's not something of value to me or someone else, I sincerely have a fear of moving forward. And sometimes we can get caught in that in speaking too. We're asked to all of a sudden speak about something,
Right.
even at the last minute, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of going, I don't really feel comfortable about this. So
Yeah.
I think, it's being authentic.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Exactly. What would be some of your daily frustrations?
Wow. My daughter? No. Actually, she's
lovely.
in so many ways, even with what she's going through, is my pride and joy.
Yeah.
Frustrations, I certainly don't have as many as I used to. I think raising a family and being successful in terms of having that successful business and so on, and acquiring things, which I've done, were most of my frustrations were. So today, I think more the frustration would be to, again, and I'll repeat myself, I said it earlier, is to zero in on what is most important to me right now.
Yeah.
And if I feel as though, day by day, I'm working hard and I keep at it, but yet it's not quite clicking, that's my frustration. Sometimes, we've got to be patient.
Yeah. Oh.
And it's tough at times. We all know that. That's right. Patience is a virtue. I mean, I remember the words.
I'm a little short on that. Anyway, okay. So what would be something that annoys you beyond belief?
Annoys me beyond belief. Manipulators. I've written a book about that, as you know, Transcending the Masquerade.
Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, to define manipulation is quite simple. It's when you're not clear with someone else. They don't know where they stand.
Right.
You're holding back some of the cards.
Yeah.
And they don't explain themselves. So you don't know where you stand.
Right.
So, and there's a lot of ugliness in the world with that, in intimate relationships, in all relationships. Mm-hmm. And I think with me being highly sensitive and being wired the way I've realized I'm wired, growing up when I was younger, I've always taken in the emotions around me. I've always been very in tune with what's happening. So I know usually right away when something is not the truth or there's something that's not quite right.
Yeah.
And of course, younger, before I was conscious of it, I could easily be defined as a troublemaker because I was the first to speak up, and people say, this isn't true, but it's seeing that underlying stuff that others don't see, and I know you're the same, Vicky. You feel all
the
that.
empathic stuff, and you're something's not sitting right here. Yeah,
so.
that, I get it, for sure. Oh, this is gonna hit on the same thing, I'm sure. So, what makes you what pushes your buttons? What would make you lose control of your emotions?
You're right. It does sort of hit on the same subject.
Yeah.
It's easy for people like us, the way we're wired, to react.
Yeah.
And I guess a good way to describe that is 5 times more than the average person. And for me, I guess it's when it comes to some of that stuff where you feel as though, well, you've been treated unfairly, and there's a lot of patience that you can deal with over a long period of time, and then it kind of gets to that point where someone really pushes your buttons, and you can react, and usually it's the truth that comes out. I would rather just say it the way it is,
Sure.
get it off my chest. Some people don't agree with that. They think it's better to just sort of be quiet and walk away, but is it?
Yeah.
I guess. But so that's the same subject.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So this was the question that I had asked you before. Who are your heroes, if you have any heroes?
We talked about this before.
That's right.
And heroes for me, it's interesting because throughout my life, whenever we're all asked that, usually at some stage.
Yeah.
And I've thought about it many times, and I don't think I've really had any one hero. I mean, I've got my favorite actors. I've got, if I had to, it would probably be a piece of people I know, because I think the hero should be yourself. And meaning to be the best you can be, to develop your talents, to learn to love yourself, and that can take a lifetime, but to love yourself more and appreciate who you are and accept the things you don't like about yourself and improve upon those. So the hero, I think is myself, but having people like my father, my uncle, and others who have experienced certain things in life, including my mother, who is an amazing, creative, artistic woman, and has done many amazing things. And taking a piece of each and sort of watching them and learning from them and applying it to my own life, my own talents.
So you would say, really, your heroes, if you're looking at, you've mentioned your mom, you mentioned your dad, you mentioned your uncle. You're not mentioning Gandhi or the Dalai Lama or heroes like that. You tend to look to your heroes in your family.
And maybe it's the hero word that I don't like, but I mean, someone I respect, who I think, like Bob Proctor, for instance.
That would be a hero, really, kind of thing.
One of the things I love about Bob Proctor is just that he explains, when he talks about the mind, body, and soul, he gives you the information for you to work with.
Sure.
It's not about hype.
Yeah.
He's giving you solid stuff with a model that you can sort of apply all of your information to. And it's something that I was kind of aware of before I met him, but then having listened to him and his model, so definitely he's played a big factor in my life.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
Along with many of the other speakers that I've listened to, like Les Brown's one of my favorite speakers.
Isn't he great?
I'm hungry. I often thought, how can I put my own story and do something like he did,
God.
with so much
It'd be
passion.
great, the two of you could sit there. Oh.
I
want to pay tickets for that right now, because that would be hilarious.
I spent some time with him actually in Florida.
Oh,
and I got to know him a little bit,
awesome.
and he's just a great guy. And,
what a riot!
He's the real McCoy.
Good,
So.
awesome, awesome.